Hello, I'm Brock and welcome back to More Pixels. This video will be showcasing what we have accomplished on our game Factory of the Lost Boxes since the last video that we created. Since the last video, there has been a few weeks of production, as the first video took us a while to complete, as well as having some low productivity moments over the few weeks. As such, we didn't want to upload a video where there wouldn't be many changes to our game, so we decided to hold out until there was more to update you on. One of the big things that we wanted to do was to recreate the main code behind the game. This was because, for the game jam, everything was just thrown together quickly to make it work, and it caused a lot of the code to be quite messy, with no comments in the code, as well as some things that just got commented out instead of being removed if it didn't work. We completely rebuilt all of the systems in the game, including the player controller, merging and splitting system, player switching, buttons, keys, lasers, and conveyors. The systems that required the most work were the merging and splitting, and the player switching mechanics, as these were thrown together quickly and without much care. The goal during the game jam was just to get them working, not for the code to be the best. We recreated the systems and made the code a lot cleaner, which helps the readability of the code and will also make it easier for any future additions to the scripts. In the version of the game for Bracky's Game Jam, there was a bug in the game where the player would occasionally get stuck on the ground. The player would have to start moving in a different direction to be able to move again. With physics materials not solving the situation, I created a system that switched between two colliders. For the active player, they would have a circle collider, and the inactive players would have box colliders. The inactive players having box colliders would make it so that the boxes could still stack on top of each other, and the active player having a circle collider made it so that they can smoothly move around the level. This solves the issue, but it does also create a few things that we don't like and we do want to change in the future. The coded systems like buttons, keys, and lasers were almost exactly the same as the original, so that was a quick task to redo. The conveyors was something that never really worked as intended, and I knew I'd need to recreate. Upon looking at the original code, I realized it wasn't as bad as I initially thought. To make the systems have the functionality of going left or right, I added a boolean which was called right, and if it was true, things would be pushed to the right, and if it was false, they would go to the left. The conveyor code still isn't as clean as we would like, but for now, it works. The issue with having the conveyors affect the player is difficult, since the player controller script is controlling the player's velocity. It causes some conflict issues, and we still have to try to find a workaround for that. The next thing we worked on was getting the art and animations back into the game. After having done the animations once before, I already had an understanding of how to make the animations and get the timing correct on them. Getting the art and animations back into the game wasn't a hard task, but it did take a bit of time with hooking up, as well as procrastinating a bit. To get the audio manager back into the game, I just copied the files from the last project into this one, as it didn't have any issues, and then I just needed to add back some audio. We will eventually find new and better audio that we can use, as we want the game to have audio that really complements the gameplay. The next thing we worked on was UI. I created a new UI which again included both a main menu and pause menu, but I wanted them to look better and took inspiration from recent Mario games for their simplistic design. We think the UI came out looking a lot better and more like something people would like to see and would enjoy rather than something really basic. I enjoyed creating the UI and figuring out how to do things, so playing with the buttons and using the animation feature for them was really interesting and has helped me figure out how to create more interesting UI elements for the future. It was finally time to start making some new mechanics for the game. The first thing I created was the lever. I wanted something that when one way, things would be active, but when flipped the other way, they were disabled and other objects would be active. I thought this could be used to create some really interesting puzzles where you have to switch between the two to get to the end of the level. This was pretty simple to create, but in the future I want to add a pop-up for the lever that shows the key that is required to be pressed to flip it, as it is an interaction-based system. The next thing I started creating was a script that could be applied to any different thing to create a timed obstacle. I mostly plan to use these on things such as lasers to create a puzzle of moving between the lasers without dying, as this is a staple of a lot of platformer games. This was super easy to create and was just making a timer, and when the timer hit 0 it would turn the sprite renderers off for the object, or on if it was already off. This created a great system where I can change the amount of time for each object and it can be easily applied to any different thing in the level to create more interesting levels. The last thing that we worked on was creating some levels for the game, with the mechanics that were in the original version of the game. We were initially going to upload a demo with this video, but we thought we should hold off on that for a little bit, and then upload a new version where we have added some more things into the game so that there is new content for everyone to enjoy. So that's everything that we managed to get done since last time. We will hopefully get a bit better at creating the videos and also getting more work done on the game, so that each video there will be more to enjoy. We want to thank you for watching, and we hope to see you in the future. We will have our social media accounts linked in the description if you would like to check them out. If you have any feedback or suggestions, be sure to leave it in the comments. Thank you so much for watching, we really appreciate it, and we hope to see you next time. Goodbye.